Hi, my name is Richard Yetsenga. Welcome to the latest Blue Lens piece. This time we focus on demographics. And there is widespread concern about demographics being a driver of weaker consumption, higher savings, and potentially also structurally lower interest rates. And on this issue, we are less worried than most. It's not that populations aren't ageing, but that we think that there's plenty of policy room to respond and for the system to adjust. And in fact, we shouldn't presume that demographic trends are baked in the cake. Often the curves look nice and smooth and the trends look very long and persistent, but in fact, there have been plenty of demographic surprises in the last few decades alone. As well, we're already starting to see some adjustment. For instance, female participation rates in Japan in recent years have at times exceeded that in the US. It wasn't that long ago you would have thought that outcome was impossible. And in fact, in Asia generally, our work suggests we can expect as many as 300 million additional workers added to the labour force if the right policy responses are followed. So don't assume that just because some people are saying that there's an inexorable trend here, that's what we're going to get. And in fact, we're already seeing policy shift back and people themselves adjust. Participation rates for older workers are tending to rise, and policy is also responding by encouraging workers to stay in the workforce for longer. In the UK, Australia, Japan, even Brazil, we're seeing efforts by government to raise retirement ages to take pressure off fiscal policy and the public purse. In addition, we're seeing technology and markets also respond to this. Countries which are most aged, i.e. where we're seeing the largest increase in retirement age employees, we're also tending to see a faster adoption of robotics and other labour-saving technology. So the market is also responding to this trend. There's also some very interesting research out of the World Bank that looks at long-term trends in standards of living and inequality globally. Some very interesting data out of that. In 1870, if you picked an individual at random in the world, roughly 2/3 of their standard of living came from the social strata they were in and 1/3 from the geography they worked in. Now that's largely been reversed actually, where the largest single determinant of an individual's standard of living is their location. In other words, as you move people around, you do add to the pie. And small open economies, particularly like Singapore, Hong Kong, Australia and New Zealand, whether actively or not, have been pursuing this policy of effectively importing demand from overseas. And while immigration is a vexed issue in this kind of environment of sceptical globalisation, we expect to see more debate and more focus on that as a way to sustain demand going forwards. Unquestionably, there are reasons to think that rates of growth post the financial crisis have come down and interest rates potentially have come down with that. But we think that demographics is one of the least worrying. People are already responding. Policy is already responding. And in fact, to remind you of how much things can change, when Germany introduced the age pension more than 100 years ago at 70, life expectancy was in its 40s. So in our view, the future may be less aged than you think.